The Miami Heat have to be the weirdest team in basketball. They have the worst offense in basketball and by far the most injuries to boot. Combine this with the fact that the Heat have a roster that lacks talent and the majority of which is undrafted, and you have a team that should be well under 500. Yet the Heat are 6 games above that mark and currently hold the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference playoff picture with a chance to move up. How do they do it? Let's find out. The 2021 Miami Heat ended the regular season as the best team in the Eastern Conference and carried plenty of momentum into the playoffs, winning 6 of their last 7, and the one game they didn't win, they didn't play any of their starters. In the first round, they made quick work of the Hawks in a gentleman's sweep, but the injury bug reared its ugly head early, with Jimmy Butler missing one of the games in the series. Luckily, in the next series, the Sixers were also a bit banged up, and due to some lackluster James Harden performances, they moved on to face the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics had been the hottest team in the NBA over the second half of the season, and they showed that when they took a 3-2 lead in the series. Over the next 2 games, Heat star Jimmy Butler would play 94 minutes and score 82 points, but sadly his performance is remembered for this shot he took at the end of Game 7.
Can tie for the lead. Loose and Horford gonna have to foul. They do. Butler had a clean look, Jeff.
Even though this was a crushing defeat on their home floor, the Heat looked like they could be headed in the right direction with a good offseason. What did they do in the offseason, you ask? Next to nothing. They re-signed Victor Oladipo, Caleb Martin, Dwayne Dedmon, and Udonis Haslem, but made no moves outside of the organization. They also watched as PJ Tucker, a vital part of their defense in 2021, walked in free agency. They did draft the young Nikola Jovic out of Serbia, but nothing else to be excited about for Heat fans. As one of only 6 teams to not make a trade in the offseason and one of only 5 teams to not sign anyone in free agency, this was an extremely disappointing offseason for a contending team. It led to their roster before the year having 10 undrafted players on it, which was by far the most in the league. For reference, the team they played in the conference finals last year only has 2 undrafted players on their roster, and they are only averaging 27.2 minutes per game combined. The Heat have an average of 202.1 minutes played, over 303 total games played by undrafted players. Not a great start for the road back to the playoffs, but you can never count out the Heat. The Heat began the 2022 NBA season with a celebration of their 35th anniversary of the franchise, commemorating some of the members of the franchise that have been there since day one. Ironically, on their home floor, DeMar DeRozan would go just over that mark to score 37 in an 8-point win by the Bulls. This was largely due to the 34-19 run that the Bulls sparked to start the third quarter. This will show to be a recurring theme for the Heat, as for some reason, their offense cannot score in the third period, only mustering 25.9 points. This is why, if you ever find yourself on Heat Twitter, one of the most used hashtags is #ThirdQuarter. Anyways, this was a tough start to the season, and it would continue that way for the next few games. The Heat started their season 2-5, and the most recent of those losses was to a Kings team that was 0-4 at the time. The next week, they rematched the Kings at home in a victorious effort, but this time, some themes that would follow them throughout the season presented themselves. First off, Jimmy Butler was to miss this game with hip tightness, an injury that would nag him throughout the season. Have you ever seen the meme of SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward in the hospital beds? Well, this has been the Miami Heat locker room for the entire year. Kyle Lowry has missed 11 games. Tyler Herro has missed 13 games. Jimmy Butler has missed 14 games. Victor Oladipo has missed 32 games. And while he's not a star, backup big man Omer Yurtseven has missed the entire season so far due to a left ankle surgery. The Heat have totaled $27,322,521 shelled out to players that were too injured to play in the actual game. That is enough to pay Tyrese Halliburton's 2023 salary 6 times over. Furthermore, at the time of me writing this, Heat players have missed a total of 244 games due to injury. That is 23 more than the second place Magic and almost 9 times more than the last place Kings, funny enough. Anyway, one more thing that happened in the Heat-Kings game that will continue to happen throughout the season is clutch shooting. After 2 Domantas Sabonis free throws tied the game at 107 with 12 seconds left, this Tyler Herro three-pointer ended up being the game winner for the Heat.
In the Hero has 10 points in the fourth quarter. 7 seconds left. 5. Hero for 3. Kaboom! With 1.8 left. The Heat only needed 2. Hero gave them 3.
Whether it is Hero, Butler, or Adebayo, it feels like the Heat need late-game heroics every night to pull out wins. The Heat have too many game winners for me to show you all of them, but here are just a few.
Miami will try to go the length of the court to win it in regulation. Hero with 3. Hero with 2. Hero gets it off for the win. Yes! 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 Happy New Year, Tyler Hero and the Heat!
Offensive board, Wiggins, and it's loose, and here comes Oladipo. 2-point game. Butler goes down on the block, and Butler scores! And 1!
Screen from Adebayo. Double on Hero. Shot clock winding down. Adebayo! Yes! Bam! Adebayo delivered!
These big shots in the game's most important moments have led them to the top spot in the league in clutch wins with 23. They also have had 32 games finished within 5 points and have won 20 of those. Moving on, the Heat began their slow trek all the way up the Eastern Conference standings. On Halloween, the team was 12th in their conference's leaderboard, and by December 26th, they had clawed their way all the way up to 6th place, finally eclipsing the 500 mark at 18-17. They fell to the 7th seed for a moment, but ever since January 18th, the Heat have held sole position of the 6th position. They are currently 32-26 and have 3 more wins than their expected record. Other than the aforementioned injuries, why are the Heat currently overachieving? For starters, the team's offense is awful. The Heat average the least points in the game in the NBA with a full 1.5 margin between them and the second-to-last Rockets. Over the last 3 years in the NBA, the team with the lowest points per game has averaged 23 wins all year. In the NFL, the lowest scoring team this year was the 5-win Broncos, and in the MLB, the lowest scoring team was the 66-win Tigers. What I'm saying is that it is unprecedented to have the worst offense in the league have a positive team record. How do they combat this? With the second best defense in the league. It is clear that this roster is built on defense, from Jimmy Butler to Bam Adebayo to even guys like Hayward Highsmith and Gabe Vincent, who have become outstanding defenders. The Heat have a respectable 111.5 defensive rating this season, but they turn up when it matters most, as their defensive rating in the fourth quarter is 106.1, best in the league in that category. They also improve on offense in clutch time, going from the lowest scoring team in the league to 14th best. This leads to a 0.8 plus minus in clutch situations, good for 6th best in the league. So this team thrives in clutch time, but why can't they do that throughout the game? Well, in part due to their extensive list of injuries, their bench play has been terrible. They averaged the second least points off the bench with 27.1 and a league-low 48.1 offensive rating from bench participants. It leads to a net rating of negative 1.4, 8th worst of all bench units in the league. That's a lot of numbers, I apologize. Basically, the Heat are amazing on defense and horrendous on offense. They are also spectacular in clutch moments and have a horrific bench unit. 2 negatives and 2 positives. So what puts the team over the edge? Head coach Erik Spoelstra. Starting with his defensive game plan, the Heat have by far the most usage rate of zone defense with a total that eclipses 25%. Most other teams in the league fail to use this over 5% even. It is this infamous 2-3 zone that allows Spoelstra to hide a few weaker defenders on the team, such as Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson in the corner. Meanwhile, their all-defensive center holds down the paint, and more athletic and versatile defenders with longer arms like Jimmy Butler and Victor Oladipo can stay up top and pester the offense and get in passing lanes. Not to get too technical with basketball terms, but overall this defense is beautifully executed and holds opposing offenses to under 40% shooting and an unbelievable 13.4 turnover percentage. Furthermore, Spoelstra is one of the best play callers in the NBA. One of the reasons that the Heat are so good in clutch time is due to the plays that get called up by Spoelstra. Take, for example, the most recent win against the Rockets and this game-winning Jimmy Butler lob. There are only 0.7 seconds left, so it's just enough time for a catch and shoot. Right before this play, three-point shooters Tyler Hero and Max Strus were subbed into the game. This immediately gets the defense thinking that this play might be for a three-point shooter. So when Max Strus runs uncontested to the top of the key, it forces Jayshawn Tate to leave his assignment to pick up Strus at the three-point line, leading to a wide open cut by Jimmy Butler and a perfect inbounds pass by Gabe Vincent. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for Spoelstra's mastery. Spoelstra himself said it best when he said Miami Heat fans definitely get their money's worth. Night to night, it seems like a Heat game comes down to the last shot. 47 of their 58 games have been decided by 10 points or less. The Heat are building the courage and ability to play extremely well in clutch situations, which is only going to bode well for them in the playoffs. As the Heat continue to get healthier, this might be a team that can match up well with some teams in the playoffs. The defense is always going to be there, it's just a matter of their offense. Is Bam going to be aggressive enough to make an impact? Are the shooters like Strus and Robinson going to be consistent enough to be worth having on the floor? Can Tyler Hero bring back some of his performances from that first bubble run after last year's disappointing playoff run? These questions will all be answered as we watch the most intriguing yet boring team play playoff basketball, were they to hold on to their spot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe as all the other YouTubers tell you to do. And have a good day.